Hello everyone, and thanks so much for coming back to my channel. It's your girl Dion, and this is D Maria Reacts. I have heard it said that under a Kamala presidency, America could become the next Venezuela. I said, okay, what's going on in Venezuela? Let's check this out.
In Venezuela, cars don't depreciate. You could buy one today, drive it for 5 or 6 years, and then sell it for the same price you paid. And you can forget about gas. At just over 6 cents a gallon, you can fill up your tank for less than $1. In Venezuela, banks offer loans for plastic surgery. Taxi drivers earn higher salaries than doctors. Supermarkets are equipped with fingerprint scanners. And some find it cheaper to live year-round in luxury hotels than rent an apartment. A country with the largest proven oil reserves on Earth, enough to meet all of America's demand for 40 years, ran out of toilet paper. Hotels even ask guests to bring their own. Facing shortages of rice, sugar, milk, and shampoo, on top of rolling blackouts, 30 million people struggled to survive without the most basic of basic goods. Venezuela, once the richest country in Latin America, was experiencing the worst peacetime economic crisis in modern history. A third of its entire economy disappeared in 1 year alone, the same number as Ukraine in 2022. Since then, 7 million people, a quarter of the entire population, have fled the country. This is the equivalent of the Great Depression, the hyperinflation of Zimbabwe, and the Syrian migrant crisis, all at the same time. And it's happening in a country with 300 billion barrels of oil. That's 11 times more than China and nearly 4 times that of Russia, a place once referred to as more a gas station than a country.
Oh my goodness. Did y'all hear that? That is insane. They have more oil reserves than anybody on the planet. And they are so poor that basic necessities, they said, rice, sugar, milk, and shampoo are hard to come by. Why is it that taxi drivers make more than physicians? Oh my goodness.
Even this understates its good fortune. Venezuelan crude is practically begging to be extracted. It's not far offshore like Norway's, it's not way up in the Arctic like Russia's, and it's not deep underground like American shale. Instead, it just naturally bubbles to the surface. When exports are effectively twice as expensive, imports are effectively 50% off. Those 10 original bolivars are worth $2, not just $1. It's no wonder virtually everything in Venezuela is imported, from appliances and cars to simple things like food and apparel. Even bolivars themselves arrive on 747s. All of this is to say, in Venezuela, the highs are high. Strong oil prices not only bring in loads of cash, but they also make foreign goods that much cheaper. In 1970, Venezuela had a higher per capita GDP than either Spain or Greece. Nearly 60% of the population was middle class, and the Concorde flew direct flights to Paris. Another explosion of wealth came during China's rise in the early 2000s. As demand for oil soared, the country even began importing doctors. But with such high highs come extraordinarily low lows. Remember, when oil prices fall, the state both loses revenue and the imports they've come to depend on become more expensive. That's a brutal combination. This cycle of boom and bust has been going on since the first well was drilled over 100 years ago. But this latest crisis is especially prolonged thanks to a potent mix of weak oil prices and US sanctions imposed after its president manipulated elections. Things got so bad that the country once ran out of money to pay its supplier of that money. So what was the government's solution? Print more money. Since 2007, the Central Bank of Venezuela is no longer independent, giving politicians direct control of the money supply. This, to everyone's surprise, led to something called inflation. At first, the government simply pretended it wasn't happening, refusing to release the data. By the time it finally gave up the charade in 2019, inflation was at 130,000%, about 129,997% higher than its neighbor, Colombia. While taxi drivers can easily raise their rates to adjust for inflation, the salaries of professionals were reduced to nothing. No wonder such a high proportion of migrants were doctors, lawyers, and professors. In Venezuela, they were effectively working for free. When they ran out of cash, people simply took out loans to buy everything from TVs to plastic surgery. So the government took another page out of the just print more money school of economic thought: price controls. After all, if prices are too high, why not just impose a ceiling? Because prices are set well below market rates, shoppers are incentivized to buy as much as they can get their hands on. Anything you don't need can easily be resold for twice as much across the street, or 20 times as much across the border. It's estimated that up to 14% of Venezuela's highly subsidized gas is smuggled internationally. In 2015, lines outside grocery stores got so long that everyone was assigned one day of the week for shopping, based on the last digit of their national ID. To prevent the same person from using their quota at multiple stores, fingerprint scanners were installed at checkouts. Soldiers even patrolled the aisles. Here, once again, the government had a solution. In Venezuela, there is no one exchange rate. The value of your money depends on who you are. What could possibly go wrong? To encourage companies to import essential goods in short supply, for example, it offers a special favorable exchange rate. The way it works is that a foreign company, say a Brazilian rice producer, wants to be paid in the global currency of trade, dollars. For a Venezuelan company to buy and import that rice, therefore, it has to somehow get its hands on some USD. That's a problem, because until recently, the government carefully restricted access to foreign currency. Unlike most countries, you couldn't just walk down to your neighborhood currency exchange and trade some cash. Huge, but it gets worse. The exchange rate offered by the government wasn't the real value of the bolivar. Meaning, the government might give you 1 USD for 5 bolivars, but nobody else would give you $1 for anything less than, say, 50. The official exchange rate was essentially a government handout, free money for those smart or well-connected enough to get it. By approving these requests for dollars, politicians could reward their friends and family. By rejecting them, they could punish or silence critics. According to the government, you're the reason the system is broken. If only people bought from stores what they needed and nothing more. If only people stopped exchanging foreign currency. If only they saved and invested rather than spending everything they have. At the root of Venezuela's problems, the government claims, are individual opportunists. A similar argument is that the country is plagued by a culture of selfish consumption over prudent, long-term investment.
Wow.
Voters favor politicians who promise handouts over those with the foresight to save for the future. After decades of gross mismanagement, Venezuelans have lost faith in the collective power of the state. But if growing the pie is an unrealistic pipe dream, the only rational response is to fight for your and your family's slice.
am just amazed. And at the same time, I'm real nervous because some of the things stated in that video came out of the mouth of Kamala Harris as far as how she would correct the economy were she to become the president of the United States. When she talked about, oh, there's price gouging going on in the grocery stores, we need to put a cap on the prices of goods. Basically, the idea of printing money, which that was already done in the Biden-Harris administration. So I don't believe that Kamala Harris is not dangerous. I think she's very much dangerous. I don't think she's quite as inept as she seems, but I think she so extremely believes in her radical leftist Marxist viewpoints that she fears speaking publicly because she knows that these skeleton bones, that's what I call it, these skeleton bones are going to jump out of her mouth and the whole world is going to know where she's coming from and how she wants to take the United States of America to a position of being in communism. See, and now it makes sense to me now how she wants to see the collapse of America. And so all the encouragement for there to be infighting between groups, you know, it takes political unrest to bring these things about. A financial collapse helps bring these things about. This whole Marxist ideology and communism as an economic system, they're brought about by things like that. So she's right now trying to move more to the right and to trick and gaslight the American people into thinking that she wants the same things that Donald Trump wants, because I believe they behind the scenes are literally looking at the things Donald Trump is proposing in order to help America, because those things are popular with people. She's moving and rebranding herself to offer those same things, sometimes using the very same wording. I'm waiting for her to say MAGA. At this point, she's copying Donald Trump so much. But everything she's saying when she's doing that, it's fake, you all. You can't believe her, because once she gets in office, she's going to do exactly what she intended to do from the get-go. And we are seeing examples of that right now. Our current economy, our current border crisis, this is all her baby. It's happening on her watch. So I think people need to think long and hard about, just treating Kamala Harris like she's a blank slate, like she has nothing to do with what's going on in this country right now. You would seriously want to rethink that position, because that's the wrong position to have. So, I learned a lot from that little clip. I hope you did as well. And thank you so much for hanging out with me. I will see you all next time. Bye.